Okay, so what we're going to do in part 2 is write the CSS to make our web app start to actually look like a drawing palette. So in order to do that, the first thing we want to do, step 1, is to add the style tags in between the head tags. So in this project, we're going to do internal CSS, not external CSS, because we don't have a ton of CSS anyways. So underneath the title tag, but still inside of the closing head tag, create style tags. Our entire CSS is going to go between these two tags. Make sure you save your work, Control S. The next thing we want to do, step 2, is actually reset the padding and the margin for the entire document. So this is just a CSS trick. To do that, we're going to use the selector of star, and this selects the whole document. We need our curly brackets, and then we're going to set margin and padding to 0. Control S to save, Control R to refresh, and we'll see that the bullets look like they're not there, but that's actually because the margin and padding is set to 0. All right, the next thing we want to do is make it so that people can't scroll on the window of this app, so that the canvas is going to always be the height of the actual window at that moment that it's open. So to do that, we're going to set or create a new style for body. So use the body selector and the curly brackets, and in between the curly brackets, we're going to set the style for overflow to be hidden. Don't forget your semicolon, Control S to save, Control R to refresh. Nothing should have changed yet, but you won't be able to scroll anymore on the page. The next step that we want to do, step 4, is we want to actually move the menu into the corner of the drawing app so that it's not in the way. You get to decide which corner it's in. It should have been in your wireframe. Mine is going to be in the top right hand corner. So to do that, I'm going to style the ID menu and set the position to be absolute and then tell it where to be on the screen. So to style an ID, I use the hashtag symbol and then the name of the ID, which is menu, curly brackets. We're going to set position to absolute. And then to put it in the top right hand corner, I'm going to create a style for top and right. So top 10px, right 10px, Control S, Control R. We'll see that's in the top right hand corner. If you wanted it to be in the top left hand corner instead of right, you might set it to left, Control S, R, and now it's in the top left hand corner. Because there's no padding or margin, that's why it looks like the bullets are hidden. I'm going to keep mine in the top right hand corner though. Okay, now that we've done that, we're actually going to start applying some styles to make our list elements look like actual color buttons. So in order to do that, the first thing we want to do is get rid of the bullets that we are seeing for each of our colors. So I'm going to style the colors ID, so pound colors. And we're going to set list style type to none. Control S, Control R, and the bullets go away. The next thing that we want to do is actually make each list element display in a nice straight line instead of stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to do this by styling the LI element with the ID of color. So pound colors, that's the ID, and then the element is the LI element. And we're going to say display inline block, and then we're going to give it a margin of 5px, 1px. And this margin will give it some space between the buttons so they're not right next to each other. The next thing that we need to do is actually give the buttons a height and a width, otherwise we're not going to be able to see them. So to do this, we're going to style the A elements. So just like we did for the LI, pound colors, but this time the A elements. And we're going to set display to inline block again. And then we are going to set width to 20px and height to 20px. If you want to change the shape or the size of your color buttons, you can do that using width and height. I'm going to press Control S to save, R to refresh. Okay, we saw that the buttons moved over, and that's because they displayed in line, but we still can't see them. That's because we need to give them a background color. So in order to give them a background color, we're going to actually style the class for each of these color buttons. So we gave them different color or classes based on the color. So one of them has a class of blue, one has a class of green, and one has a class of yellow and a class of red. Pardon me. So to do this, I'm going to use the class notation to style. So I'm going to style .blue to style my blue button. And I'm just going to give it a background color. And the color that I chose in the planning portion of my project for blue was 1988 163. And we're going to set the opacity to 1 so that you can't see through the button. And S. Let's control refresh, and now we have a blue button. So you're going to do the same thing for each of the other classes. All right, so I finished changing all the colors to the backgrounds of my buttons, and I had to actually look up what the color yellow was because I wasn't originally going to use yellow, but that was the color I chose. So now that you have these, you also have one more option. You can make it so that when you touch or hover over one of these color buttons that the cursor changes styles. To do this, you would actually apply a style to the A element when you hover over it with the ID of colors. So the format looks like this: dot or hashtag colors, select the A element, colon, and then when we're hovering over it, we need our curly brackets, and inside this we can set cursor to pointer, and it should change the cursor when we hover over it. Let's test it. There we go. So you can see it changes, and it lets someone know that they're about to click on the button. Just a nice add-on. And don't forget to add at least 2 comments that describe the CSS that you've used. The syntax for that, again, is going to be / comments, go here, you write your comment, * and /.